it's going to be hard, and you leave it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not going to leave it now. Just saying.
Oh, all the best. I'm very happy for you. Congratulations once again.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me comment with today's on. I just want to drop on the group chats the link for the streaming because we just commenced today's streaming session. Um,
Oh, by the way, I watched some of yesterday's one. It was really nice. The block storage and everything. I didn't finish though. Well done.
yes. And funny enough, we're supposed to have another one today for the OSI model, but I got called in and I had to go see HR today, and I couldn't finish it. So by God's grace, tomorrow we should be able to do a presentation on the OSI model. Swimming session now commenced.
So very soon they actually will be giving us the cloud engineering skills inputs from his side.
Having an insider knowledge. No, so.
Inside that knowledge.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Maybe. So yeah, well done. Let me also drop this other link. I don't know if you guys are seeing in the WhatsApp group. So I'll drop the link to the streaming. I'll drop the link to this Google Meet session. Okay. Nice. All right. So then we can now get into the questions for today. Oh wait, let me forward this. Because there are some people that are on the daily WhatsApp that are not on the other one. So let me see. Okay. Forward. I think Ozil and Cody come to mind when I'm talking about that. Okay, so let's commence with today's. And I don't think we might take too much time today since we're not doing presentation, and the questions might be pretty much straightforward, like yesterday's batch. Yesterday's batch is pretty good. So let's dive in. Let's dive in today. I'll take this one, and I'm pretty sure David is likely going to join. But let's get started. Yinka, we missed you yesterday. Oh, Eddie was here. Eddie was asking after you as well. And Ernest.
Ernest was here yesterday.
Ernest was here yesterday. It was so lovely to hear his voice again after so long.
That's good. That's also such a long time. I don't think I've seen him. I've seen him on any call this year or anything.
It's been a minute. So yeah, he was here.
A few minutes. I'll say this after we're streaming.
Okay, okay. Later. No problem. All right. So a company has a legacy data processing application that runs on Amazon EC2 instances. Data is processed sequentially, but the order of result does not matter. So FIFO might not apply here if it was a queue. But let's carry on. The application uses a monolithic architecture. The only way that the company can scale the application to meet increased demand is to increase the size of the instances. So we're talking about vertical scaling up as opposed to scaling out. The company's developers have decided to rewrite the application to use microservices architecture on Amazon Elastic Container Services. What should a solutions architect recommend for the communication between the microservice? For the communication between the microservices. Okay. A says create a simple Amazon Simple Queue Service, SQSQ. Add code to the data producer's and send data to the queue. Add code to the data consumers to process data from the queue. Okay, so we're using a queue. In B, we're using a notification. C, we're using a lambda function. And D, we are using Dynamo DB table. I don't think Dynamo DB table will work for this. Enable DB streams. Enable Dynamo DB streams.
Dynamo DB would definitely not work.
Yeah. So I'm so confused why they will put that. Anyways,
It is distracting.
option. Yeah. Lambda function. Using a lambda function, it would not be suitable for this as well. Because I think the lambda function will require that these other two parties that I'm talking about, the data producers, they will need direct access before they can now invoke this lambda function. And I don't think they have that. The data producers and data consumers are not, they don't have that direct connection to invoke lambda function. B, SNS. SNS is for publications and like subscriptions, all these messaging services. So I don't think it will apply here. So using a queue, because even when we read this sentence,
it's sequential.
Yes, data is processed sequentially, right? This already tells me that yes, there is some form of queuing, right, that should take place. So just by virtue of that and eliminating all the other ones, we're left with A, really and truly. Yeah, makes sense. There shouldn't be much, not much debate on that. Okay.
Okay, let me read this one. The company wants to migrate its SQL database from on-premises to AWS. The company recently experienced a data outage that significantly impacted the business. To ensure this doesn't happen again, the company wants a reliable database solution on AWS that minimizes data loss and stores every transaction on at least 2 nodes. Which solution meets this requirement? A, create an Amazon RDS DB instance with synchronous replication to 3 nodes in 3 availability zones. B, create an Amazon RDS MySQL DB instance with multi-AZ functionality enabled synchronously to synchronously replicate the data. C, create an Amazon RDS MySQL DB instance and then create a read replica in a separate AWS region that replicates the data. D, create an Amazon EC2 instance with the MySQL engine installed that triggers an AWS Lambda function to synchronously replicate the data to an Amazon RDS MySQL DB instance. So, by way of elimination, I can say that creating an EC2 instance with a MySQL engine would probably be a long route to take. So I'm going to cancel that D.
D, right?
Yeah, eliminating that one.
Yeah.
So this is an SQL database. So I'm leaning towards B, more availability functionality.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Creating a red replica for just one availability zone might be a lot of work.
Exactly. It can work, but it's still going to be like a lot of work and going to be cumbersome.
Creating
Yeah.
so I'm going to just say, so the last one is A, creating an RDS-DB instance with synchronous replication to 3 nodes in 3 availability zones. Why do they specifically say 3 availability zones? Multi-easy is already 3 availability. Like,
Hmm.
so let's say B.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm riding with B as well because B will give you exactly what you're looking for, in my opinion. Yeah,
Cool.
barely any debate on that. And I think there's something about the asynchronous replication. I think
That means
this RDS-DB
yeah.
is not synchronous. I think it's asynchronous, but I'm not sure. But I think it's asynchronous because I'm remembering like something that we've worked on before, and it was one of the things that came in as the nuance of Amazon RDS. So that that was one of the reasons why A was looking a bit wonky to me. And then also when you now mentioned 3 nodes in 3 availability zones, as opposed to B that just says multi-easy functionality. That just goes better. That just goes better, honestly.
But it's RDS-DB databases, right? They accompany
Mm.
SQL queries for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just we need to confirm that.
Yeah. All right. So let me take this one. Oh, Yinka, are you able to read the question? If not, that's fine.
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay. All right.
A company is building a new dynamic ordering website. The company wants to minimize server maintenance and patching. The website must be highly available and must scale read and write capacity as quickly as possible to meet the changes in the user demand. Which solution will meet the requirements? Holistic
Mm.
static content in Amazon S3. Host dynamic content by using Amazon API Gateway and Amazon API Gateway AWS Lambda. Use Amazon DynamoDB on demand capacity for the database. Configure Amazon platform to deliver the website content. Host static content in Amazon S3. Hold dynamic content by using Amazon API Gateway and AWS Lambda. Use Amazon Aurora and with Aurora auto scaling for the database. Configure Amazon Cloud Phone to deliver the website content. Host all websites. Host of all website content on Amazon EC2 instances. Create an auto scaling group to scale EC2 instances. Use an application load balancer to distribute traffic. Use Amazon DynamoDB with provisioned write capacity for the database. Host all the website content on Amazon E2 EC2 instance. Create auto scaling group to scale EC2 instance. Use the application. Okay, use the application load balancer
Mm.
to distribute traffic and use Amazon Aurora with auto scaling for the database.
Okay.
Okay.
So there are some key things to note here. We're trying to scale read and write
Write
capacity.
capacity.
Right. So this is very key. Scaling read and write. I mean, so if you are scaling, in some cases, right, if you are to scale reads, yes, add read replicas so that that you can have more reads going on without overwhelming the server. And with write, you can implement a queuing system so that your server is not overwhelmed, and then there are spikes and valleys, and he'll um in the performance. You want a flat performance. So those are a few things you can consider in scaling read and write capacity. But in terms of using AWS services, right, you have Aurora auto scaling, DynamoDB, and then this other one is talking about application load balancer, application load balancer. Anytime I see questions like this, options like this, right, I always say it's either the answer is one of these or none of these. And in this case, from the looks of things, I wouldn't say the answer is any of these. I'm more leaning towards these two because Aurora is
How are you
great,
gonna
but
use that Aurora
yeah,
autoscaling?
What does Aurora do?
it's a fully managed database service. But I think in this case, Aurora can only Aurora will only do what do you call it, writes, or is it reads? No, Aurora will only do reads, I think, and not writes. So I'm leaning more towards DynamoDB because DynamoDB can scale reads and writes.
Okay.
Oh,
Right.
Another thing, why I would eliminate C and D is because it says use an application load balancer in both options. And this indicates that we're dealing with a website. So it's supposed to be a web, at least.
The network load balancer as opposed
network
to an
load balancer.
application. Yeah.
So if we're dealing with an application, then I'll have a look there.
That's a very good point too. Very good point too. Because yeah, so I'm looking at A. All right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at A because I think a DynamoDB handles both read and writes. So it can scale better. It can scale better in that sense than Aurora can scale. But it's one of those things where it's a bit of a toss-up.
Let's see what we have.
So let's see. Okay, it's DynamoDB.
It's nice.
Yeah, because like the two of them are very good. Especially like Aurora.
Okay. DynamoDB on demand scales write and read capacity. Aurora skills.
Aha.
You're right.
Yeah. So that was the dilemma. Okay.
This version 10 months ago, I said Aurora with Aurora auto scaling can scale both read and write replica.
Could you so I said Aurora that is supposed only read replicas. Some guy came with receipts. Is there check out this website, bro? Okay, so Aurora scaling dynamically adjusts the number of Aurora replicas provision for the Aurora DB cluster. Scaling is available for both Aurora MySQL and Aurora Postgre. Okay, that's good to keep at the back of your mind that Aurora scales only reads, DynamoDB scales reads and writes. Okie. All right, so almost. A company has an AWS account used for software engineering. The AWS account has access to yeah.
This wants to read the next one. Sorry, let's interrupt.
No problem. Yeah. The account has access to the company's on-premises data center through a pair of AWS direct connections. All non-VPC traffic routes to the virtual private gateway. A development team recently created an AWS Lambda function through the console. The development team needs to allow the function to access a database that runs in a private subnet in the company's data center. Which solution meets these requirements? A. Configure the Lambda function to run in the VPC with the appropriate security group. That sounds pretty good. Set up a VPN connection from AWS to the data center. Route the traffic from the Lambda function through the VPN. Update the route tables in the VPC to allow the Lambda function access the on-premises data center through direct connection. Potential, I guess. Oh, well, let's see. Create an elastic IP address. Configure the Lambda function to send traffic through the elastic IP address without an elastic network interface. I'm not sure that really addresses this thing that we're trying to solve, because your elastic IP address is actually always connected to an elastic network interface. So I don't know how you want to do that. So you get what I'm saying? Because like this point that I'm saying here, right? Without an elastic, so you can, it's mutually inexclusive. You can't have one without the other. This elastic network interface and the elastic IP address for sure go hand in hand. So that just eliminates D in my mind. Oh, good. So C, I think routing alone is not enough. Like if you were to add the routes to the route table, that's good, but it's not enough because you still need like a proper connection for the Lambda function to the VPC. And just adding the routes wouldn't necessarily give you what you want. B, if you already have a direct connection, as stated earlier in the question here, through a pair of AWS direct connections, using a VPN is a bit silly because a VPN is not as good as a direct connection. It's not as secure, it's not as fast. So it's like why, you know? So that kind of just leaves us with A. And A is simple, makes sense, easy to understand and deploy. It's not cumbersome. But yeah. The other thing I'm just wondering is this configuration here. Configure the Lambda function to run the VPC. I'm not too sure about that, but let's see. Actually, do you have anything to say about this question?
I'm leaning towards that first one too because of its simplicity. Running the Lambda function in the VPC with the appropriate security group.
So I think like C could have worked, but like you need to do a lot more than just adding D. So for me, between that A and C, but I'm not sure C has enough. Because if you just update the route table, there's still some configuration I might need to do, which A has already stated that you configure. And in the configuration, adding the routes to the route table is part of it. So I think it's a more holistic approach Anyways, Yinka, do you have anything you want to say about this? David, do you have anything you want to say about this question? So I can, or I can I move on?
Yeah, I think you can move on.
No. No point.
All right, all right. Hello. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. Let's see a little bit of what's going on in the discussions. Okay, to configure a VPC for an existing function, one, open the functions page of the Lambda console, choose a function, choose configuration, and choose VPC. Under VPC, choose edit. If your function needs internet access, use network address, that's NAT. Okay, so it's to configure the VPC. All right, so yeah, that makes sense.
So it's saying while you're configuring your VPC, you can configure the Lambda function
Yes, yes,
to work in the VPC. Okay.
yes. All right. 185. A company
Let me
runs.
give
Okay.
a company runs an application using Amazon ECS. The application creates the application creates resized versions of of an original image. Okay. And then makes Amazon S3 API calls to the store. Sorry, to store the resized images in Amazon S3. Okay. How can a solutions architect ensure that the application has permission to access Amazon S3? Okay. A, update the S3 role in AWS IAM to allow read-write access to Amazon ECS and then launch the container. B, create an IAM role with S3 permissions and then specify that role as the task role ARN in the task definition. C, create a security group that allows access from the Amazon ECS to Amazon S3 and update the launch configuration used by the ECS cluster. D, create an IAM user with S3 permissions and then relaunch the Amazon EC2 instances for the ECS cluster while logged in as the account.
Hmm.
I think the D, that's the creating the IAM, then relaunching the EC2 instances. I think it seems unnecessarily complicated.
Hmm.
Seems a bit complicated to me. A, um, the EC2 itself might have its own permissions, but that doesn't really directly grant permission to the containers that will be running within the ECS tasks. So I don't think that might be the right option. B looks good. But let me just say C. C is focusing on network security. That's very important. But it doesn't really address the IAM permissions needed for the application to access the S3 resources. So far so good. B looks more. I mean, when you define a task in B, you can specify a role that the task could assume. And that would
Yeah.
then give the containers that are running in the task the permission that will be defined by the role that you've done. So if I should create a role that has S3 read and write permission and assign that role to the task definition, then the application running in the container should have the permissions. So I think B seems to do it.
Okay.
It seems to do it.
All right. So, and I think, yeah, I'm still looking at it, but B seems to cover what the requirements are for this question, because in that A, at no point is it saying that, oh, okay, you're actually going to associate the updated role with the ECS. So that's a bit worrisome. And then C is not actually granting the permissions to the ECS. So that doesn't help. And you needed to grant the permissions to the ECS. D is almost similar because it's not connecting the IAM user to the ECS. Because you are creating it, yeah, it's, the IAM user, right? And then you launch the EC2 instance or the ECS while logged in this account. But there's no, you're not linking the two together. So that's where my worry comes in. Because B says specify that rule, which is the action word that we need. So the other options, Archie, what are you feeling?
I was leaning towards C, but um I have a bias now because of your analysis.
I feel yeah. I want to believe that, like, if anybody is like going through this process, right, that they will just instinctively know to grant permissions. But this what do you call it? This option is not stating, it's not specifically stating that, oh, the permissions are being granted.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
says it's saying allow Amazon ECS to S3. All right. But it doesn't give the permissions for the particular ECS task.
Okay.
Where that's where the issue now comes in.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, what do you call it? Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay.
To ensure has permission to the S3, the correct solution is to create a AWS IAM rule with the necessary permissions and specify. Yeah. So you have to go through all the steps. And like that word specify is actually quite critical.
Okay.
Because you can create something and then you're not specifying it. You remember that time that we had issue with your root account and that other one and the permissions that you needed to have. Like
Yeah.
we created the IAM role, we had the user, but we didn't link the two things. You remember during that lab?
I remember.
Yeah. So it's kind of like what's going on here as well. If they are standalone, right, you're not going to get the benefit of having them working together. So I think that's that. Okay, a company has a Windows-based application that must be migrated to AWS. Windows-based, okay. The application requires the use of a shared Windows. There's okay, let's just finish the question. But from this first sentence, you already have an idea of what the answer is, but you have to read the rest to be sure. The application requires the use of shared Windows file system attached to multiple EC2 Windows instances that are deployed across multiple availability zones. What should a solutions architect do to meet this requirement? Configure AWS gateway in volume gateway mode, mount the volume on each Windows instance. Configure Amazon FSX for Windows file server, mount the FSX file system to each window instance. C. Configure a file system by using Amazon Elastic File Systems, EFS. Mount the Elastic File System to each window instance. Okay. D. Configure an Amazon Elastic Block Store, EBS, with the required size. Attach each EC2 instance to the volume. Mount the file system within the volume to each Windows instance. No, like these ones are not giving what it's supposed to give you, because it's just trying to dissuade you. The key thing to note in this question, it says Windows-based application. They are migrating a Windows-based application to AWS. And the application requires the use of a shared Windows file system. Bam, that's the end. Shared Windows file system, you know, do pass Windows a file server. Do you get? All the other ones are not storage gateway, doesn't. Yes, Windows instance, but the file system that will be attached to the Windows instance. What file system is it? It has to be a Windows file server. That's the only option that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, quick one. Yesterday, you said something about FSX and Linux.
Yes.
So FSX for Lustre is for Linux, right?
FSX for Lustre. Yes, is Linux based.
Okay. All right. Let's clarify that.
So you get what I'm saying concerning this question now?
Yeah.
So let me knock on. Okay. Yeah. 100%. Okay, Victor, I can take this one.
A company is developing an e-commerce application that will consist of a load balancer front end, a container-based application, and a relational database. The solutions architect needs to create a highly available solution that operates with as little manual intervention as possible. Which solution meets these requirements? Create an Amazon RDS DB instance in multi-easy mode. Create an Amazon RDS DB instance and one more replicas in another availability zone. Create an Amazon EC2 instance-based Docker cluster to handle dynamic application load. Create an Amazon Elastic Container Service cluster with Fargate launch type to handle dynamic application load. Create an Amazon Elastic Container Service cluster with an Amazon EC2 launch hype to handle the dynamic load.
So I have to choose to And to handle the dynamic e-commerce front end container build. Okay, treat as little manual intervention as possible. That is the first thing. So a managed service is what we're now looking for. Fargate for a container-based application. Fargate is a managed service. So Fargate can do this,
So
right?
can Fargate manage containers?
Fargate is for managing containers.
What's Docker?
It's the container runtime engine. You get?
Yeah.
And Docker is
What's used to manage I think that what's Kubernetes?
the orchestration tool for
Mhm.
the containers.
Okay.
And it is Kubernetes itself is cloud agnostic, but AWS has EKS, that's Elastic Kubernetes Service, to manage your containers.
Okay. Okay.
Oh no. Every time I go out and I come back, like the heat from outside, it just sucks my energy, finish. And I'll be on anyhow.
And the PA and the fully furnished Jaguar. Okay.
Ah, yeah, the Lord is speaking through you.
You can go out with t-shirts.
You will be praying for that son very soon.
Very soon. Your fingers will start.
Enjoy you. You tell them to export some to you.
Yes,
Oh
so
my
please
God.
send some here.
Kai, Esther was complaining about the snow yesterday. It's terrible. Sorry,
Canada
guys.
is no joke.
Is in Canada?
Yes, with my twin brother.
Sorry, your brother is in there. Trust me, I saw it. I was like, trust me. Next available plane, I'm back. Minus 35.
From last
We are in
not only
1 degree.
yesterday, from last week.
What's the weather like? What's
No
the
school.
Minus 35. The weather is
In the
minus
UK,
35.
minus
Minus
30.
I am
Jesus.
telling you, my cousin
Mine
is
is
there. And he texts me minus 35.
Jesus. Minus 35.
I'm in 1 degree, I'm complaining.
I swear, from there, I like
That's not nice.
No
Minus
reason I can live
35.
there. For no reason, I can't live there.
Please, Faith, send to us via WhatsApp.
Yes,
Oh my goodness. That's serious. I had no idea it was that serious. Minus 35 is ridiculous. Yeah. As well, I wish you got
the roads are frozen.
no be child, so as well. Okay, let's look at this question. So I was saying yes, Fargate is good for managing your containers. So if D can handle that, then we need another option that will be able to handle the load balancer front end.
That create an Amazon RDS DB instance in multi-AZ zones. RDS is a managed relational database service, and it can take care of a lot of administrative tasks like, let's say, backup, patching, scaling. Then the multi-AZ deployments is to provide the high availability, and it maintain a primary and a standby instance with different availability zones. So if one AZ fails, the standby can take over automatically. I think that's set up very good. So now I'll suggest A. I think A is a good option here.
If what we've been studying, I think that's a
no cap, man. No cap.
Because I think that was a pretty good analogy of that. Even better than how I was looking at it. Um, yeah, and now that you see it, that is like because you can't choose this and this, right? These two options can't go together. You have to choose this and any of these, but the only managed service in these three is Amazon RDS. So that leaves you with these two. And in these two, using in multi-AZ mode is much better and has less work than doing this. So just by that, I think we're left with A and D for that. So let's have a gander.
Yeah.
100%, 100%. Just little, yeah, multi-AZ has little intervention. Read replicas. Okay. Fargate is a technology that you can use with Amazon ECS to run containers without having to manage servers or clusters of Amazon EC2 instances. Yeah. Okay. All right. David, I think
I
you
think it's
can
me to
take
read.
this. Sorry?
I think it's me to read this one. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Sorry.
A company uses Amazon S3 as its data lake. The company has a new partner that must use SFTP. What's SFTP? Well,
Uh, SF is a type of file transfer
yeah, I
protocol.
think it's server transfer protocol, something like that.
Mm,
Okay. To upload data files, the solution architect needs to implement a highly available SFTP solution that minimizes operational overhead. Which solution will meet this requirement? Use the AWS transfer family to configure SFTP and enabled server with a publicly accessible endpoint. Choose the S3 data lake as the destination. B. Use Amazon S3 file gateway as an SFTP server. Expose the S3 file gateway endpoint URL to the new partner. Share the S3 file gateway endpoints with the new partner. C. Launch an Amazon EC2 instance in a private subnet in a VP instruct the new partner to upload. Wait, let me take it again. Launch an Amazon EC2 instance in a private subnet in a VPC. Instruct the new partner to upload files to the EC2 instance by using a VPN. Run a cron job script on the EC2 instance to upload files to the S3 data lake. D. Launch an Amazon EC2 instance in a private subnet in a VPC. Place a network load balancer in front of the EC2 instances. Create an SFTP listener port for the NLB. Share the NLB hostname with the new partner. Run a cron job script on the EC2 instances to upload the S3 data, to upload files to the S3 data lake.
okay. Right off the bat, A has less work involved. Just straight up, just by looking at it at a glance, right? A has less work involved. Hmm.
Highly
I
available
think
solution.
think this. I think this. I think this makes sense, right? I think A makes sense
Really,
because, like,
is that
uh,
the publicly
yeah.
accessible endpoints, and you're talking about high availability.
Sorry, can I say that again? I was breaking up.
And the only issue I have with A is the fact that it's the server with a publicly accessible endpoint, and we're talking about high availability. That's, can compromise that, right?
Okay, so you mean that, like, there might not be security,
Yes.
right, in that instance? Yeah. So that's where this SFTP comes in. I think this S stands for secure, not safe. I think it's secure file transfer protocol.
Okay.
Not safe. It should be secure. Secure makes more sense.
Yeah.
Secure file transfer protocol. Right. So once that's enabled, only people with the link, right, can now, even if they're traversing the internet, this publicly just essentially means that they're traversing the public internet, but they have like the credentials and whatnot to then access the endpoints.
Okay. Yeah,
But
it's secure. It's secure. I just checked it.
it's secure, but sharp.
Right, you're right, you're right.
So
Nice.
that being said, I think that would win this one over for me.
Yeah, me too. But everything involves some sort of overhead, especially C. Z.
Even B self, B, I was looking at it, but like, I think there's another one. There's a server message block that S3 would typically use, and that is different from this SFTP. So I don't think it would work in this instance. And besides, S3 are typically uploading files and things like that. So yeah, I think this one works best. S3 file gateway as an SFTP server. Because most of the time when we're talking about S3, you're thinking server message block, NFS. I might be wrong, but like not SFTP. I think this SFTP is part of what do you call it? Like it says here, AWS transfer family. I think there's SFTP, there's FST. No, I think it's this FTPS, and then another one, in this same similar format. SFTP, FTPS or PTS, it should be FTPS, and then just a simple FTP as file transfer protocol. I think those three belong to this AWS transfer family and can actually take care of this. It's good to go through this question sometimes because it will be reminding you of some things that you have not had to think about in a long time. So I'm sticking with Asia. I don't think B, and these other two. When you start launching EC2 instance, you already know that you can't be keeping minimal overhead, so the operation go loud. Yeah, so that being said, let's just move on. Okay, sharp.
100%.
Even debate it. Even debate it. Okay, let's see. Except for exam, sharp. When you see SFTP, FTP, look for transfer in the options available. I
Sharp.
heard Yeah, this is the other one. FTPS. I think I was saying FSTP or something funny. So, um, file transfer protocol is this FTP. Secure file transfer protocol is SFTP. I'm not sure. This one should also be similar, but I can't remember what this S is for. So, if if you can find what the S in FTPS stands for, that would be great. FTPS.
File transfer protocol secure.
And the other one is secure file transfer protocol.
As in,
Wow.
is an extension of the standard FTP protocol that supports encryption using SSL.
Okay. And then what does, sorry to be asking you all this question because I actually don't know this one, but what does SFTP now do? If FTPS is using SSL, then what does STPS secure SFTP?
Yeah, SFTP is a network protocol that provides a secure way to transfer files between a client and a server.
Okay, so it's
an extension of the network layer. It's an extension of the secure shell protocol, and it's designed for secure file access, transfer, and management over a reliable data stream.
Interesting. Okay, over a reliable data stream.
Yeah, well, FTP is it just supports encryption using SSL or TLS.
That makes sense. You're studying cybersecurity for your master's, I mean?
Yeah.
So do you do a lot of SSL certification, what do you call it, security measures in your study, your master's?
Yeah, the cybersecurity management course I did last semester was mostly about that, but also about policies, cybersecurity management policies, and all of that. But I'm doing information security next 4 weeks, so maybe I'll go through.
Okay, that's
yeah.
good.
We've been talking about DDoS attacks.
Yeah.
Related to SSH, SSL, all that.
So when they were teaching you guys about DDoS, did they mention AWS Shield?
They don't even touch the cloud.
Interesting.
They've not really touched the cloud.
Wow.
They're not focused on the cloud, honestly. Primarily, they're focused on legal aspects, like how to not and the general cybersecurity routine. Maybe I'm not in the all I call it, like people that really go deep into it. Mine is cybersecurity management, there's cybersecurity administration. So maybe the administration is mostly the people that will go into it. I'm not sure. I know mine is with a sprinkle of MIS, so it's mostly for business.
But I can't like the closer you get to management, like on the business side of tech, I feel like the more money you make.
Yeah, it's fact because there has to be synergy between the business world and the IT world.
Exactly. And if you can speak the language, the technical language very well, and you can also direct in terms of, oh, this is where the business needs to go to, I think you really put yourself out, like you stand a better chance of being very visible and very niche in that way.
Who is now? Inshallah.
By God's grace. All right, 189. Do I take this one?
Let me take this one. A company needs to store contract documents, sensitive information. The contracts last 5 years. Okay. During the 5-year period, the company must ensure that the documents cannot be overwritten or deleted. Okay. That one's ready. So the company needs to encrypt the documents at rest and rotate the encryption keys automatically every year. Okay. Which combination of steps should a solution architect take to make sure these requirements are met with the least operational overhead? Choose 2. Okay. A. Store the documents in Amazon S3. Use S3 object lock in governance mode. B. Store the documents in S3. Use object lock in compliance mode. Okay, so C. Use server-side encryption with Amazon's S3 managed encryption keys. Configure key rotation. Use server-side encryption with AWS Key Management Service. Customer managed keys. Configure key rotation. E. Use server-side encryption with AWS Key Management Service. Customer provided imported keys. Configure key rotation. With from that E, I think it means that you would import your own keys into the key management system, then manage them. Whilst yeah, it will give you more control over the keys, but it's also more operational workload. Because you have to import, then manage, and maybe even export. So I won't even pick E at all. Let's move D. Use server-side encryption with AWS managed keys. The AWS key management system allows you to at least create and manage the encryption keys, and I think it's also allow you to do the rotation, the key rotation. So if you configure a key rotation, and you can configure it to happen manually. Yeah, I think that makes sense, because rather than that you're importing keys, is this D is slightly less work. Let's see what's the suggest configure key rotation. I don't think it provides the key rotation feature, because that key management system provides the key rotation feature, but I don't think the
options.
Sorry?
Choose 2 options.
Yeah, D seems like the favorite so far, but we're looking for a second one to pair with D.
Okay.
This SSS3. I don't think it has the management feature that the KMS, the key management system, has. So we might need to now be manually rotating those keys, and that's operational overhead being increased there. So let's look for another one. B. Store the documents on S3. Store the documents on S3. Okay, I think B looks good though. But okay, let's go to A first. Yeah, A and B are very similar, and I just don't know the difference in governance and compliance. Because governance it might allow you to do some things that compliance might not, but I just don't know what the difference really is between governance mode and compliance mode.
So we also have to go back to the question. The question says the contract lasts 5 years. During the 5-year period, the company must ensure that the documents cannot be overwritten or deleted. So we've done a question like this before, right? Where we had compliance and governance. And what we said about governance was that you can imagine the Nigerian government, they'll say don't do this, but one or two folks, now dead and they.
Yeah.
Opposed to compliance, compliance is like complete lockdown. You don't want to know if your father is the emir or the president or the
Okay.
ambassador. You understand? Is
Yeah.
full compliance mode. Governance, yeah, there are some people that might be above in the government or above the government. However, but compliance is more strict when it comes to
They have to
this.
comply.
You guys comply. You guys comply. So,
So compliance.
that being said, I think B
B.
has been it for me. Okay. And
Someone has a question.
Yinka, say something.
Yeah, I don't understand. I might not understand it in this context, but governance is more a given structure.
Can't really hear you.
Yinka, sorry, your voice seems a bit like it's far from your receiver. I believe you are saying something about the governance and the compliance. If you want to give it another try, you can come closer to your receiver, your mic, and try again. Yinka, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but it's very faint.
Is it better?
Okay, yeah, let's give it a go.
I said governance is more given structure.
I can't really hear you, Yinka.
Sorry, Yinka, it's still, yeah, it still sounds far from your device. If you're using,
Probably have headphones.
yeah, maybe you have like a Bluetooth or an aux, and it might be having partial contact or something. But there's something I wanted to mention. I think we'll just give a few minutes and see if we can hear back from Yinka, because I would really like to hear her opinion on this question.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Much better.
Awesome.
Okay. Sorry, I was using my Bluetooth because I didn't want to have feedbacks to your recording. So I said, I might not understand how it works, but in the layman language, governance is giving things structure. Whereas compliance is like there's a regulation in place about something or regulation somewhere that you have to comply to.
Mm-hmm.
In that context. So let's say that there's a regulation in place or there's certain standards that you have to comply to. So that is when they then come back that let's say you're not compliant, that when they now do the auditing, then you might be liable to fines or things like that. So that's in the context that I'm saying. So for me, really they're saying they cannot be overwritten or deleted. So are you saying it's compliance or governance?
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards compliance from previous.
Yeah, it's compliance because they don't want files to be able to be modified.
Okay then. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for that addition, Yinka. I really appreciate hearing your feedback on this question. And I think I wanted to add something. Yes, this bit here, customer managed versus customer provided imported keys. Imported already indicates more work. This SSE is server-side encryption, and the S3 S3 is server managed. If it's SSE KMS, that is the customer managed. The customer managed. So this is server managed, but it's not better than this. The customer managed on the AWS KMS.
Why customer managed though?
First of all, they have to even look at this SSE, right? This SSE on its own is not as fully managed as this AWS key management service, right? So the SSE, you have some control over it, right? As opposed to key management system. This S3, what I'm saying is it can be SSE hyphen KMS. You get, but and when you see SSE hyphen KMS as such, this same KMS that is down here, you will not see it up here. It as when you see it like that, just know it's customer managed keys, right? And it will be stored in the customer's buckets, right? And but it's not a fully management system as AWS KMS itself. So the nomenclature that they decided to use, the marketing team decided to use, might not be the greatest, but you just have to learn how they are doing their things and keep that in mind. So that being said, we're going with B for compliance so that it can be overwritten or deleted. D for the least operational overhead. I think that should make sense.
Is there a way
Because
you can automate key rotation?
Is there a way?
You can automate key rotation.
Yeah, with the key management service.
Okay. But it won't be customer managed keys anymore, right?
No.
What would it be?
S3, that's server-side encryption. And then you just set like how frequently you want the keys to be rotated and all that.
Okay, thank you.
No, so yeah, D seemed very good. Let's see. Yep. So so that's another thing. BC is going to be a popular one that people would also go for, right? But it can be tricky sometimes. But this KMS is the way to go. Key management service. Because the naming is really not the best, honestly.
I think Azure has better naming convention.
Same, I feel so too. So C will not guarantee the question's objective, but requires little overhead. C due to this operational. That's also important every year. Yeah, so this S3 server side, and that's
what I asked.
AWS.
Nice.
That's AWS that will handle that. As opposed to when the customer wants, where you have to now go into the key management service, KMS. Okay. But funny enough, if this was SSE KMS, it would have been a big problem. If this one was SSE KMS, it would have been a problem. Because you can still make the argument that Amazon S3 manage encryption keys, SSE KMS can meet the requirements of this question. But still, when you now come and look at this now, list operational overhead, you still want to now go with this one. Anyways, let's not beat a dead horse. Yinka, would you like to take this question? Yeah, Yinka. Okay, maybe Yinka is not available, so I'll just go ahead and take this question, and then we'll call it a day. Tomorrow we should be able to do the OSI model presentation before we get into the questions for the day. A company has a web application that is based on Java and PHP Python. The company plans to move the application from on-premises to AWS. The company needs the ability to test new site features frequently. The company also needs a highly available and managed solution that requires minimum operational overhead. Which solution will meet these requirements? Create an S3 bucket and enable a static web hosting on the S3 bucket. Upload the static content to the S3 bucket. Use AWS Lambda to process all dynamic content. Minimum operational overhead. I want to move the application from on-prem to AWS. I want to test new features frequently. Okay. Deploy the web application to an AWS Elastic Beanstalk environment. Okay. Elastic Beanstalk is managed and can help in this case. An Elastic Beanstalk is for code, so you can definitely run your Java and your PHP. So use URL swapping to switch between multiple Elastic Beanstalk environments for feature testing. Okay, yeah, B makes sense because it's giving us a managed service to reduce operational overhead. And then it provisions for testing. Okay, so let's go on. Deploy the web application to God, I beg. EC2 instance is not what we're looking for here. EC2 instance is really not what we're looking for. So D, containerize the web application. Deploy the web application. Yeah, no, C and D are not there. C and D are not there. Because it's going to violate this date by the time you do these EC2 instance things. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's between A and B.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
good to me. I don't know.
Enable web hosting on the S3 bucket.
Elastic Beanstalk. Oh, yeah. Elastic Beanstalk is the answer. I have it on my board. Elastic Beanstalk platform as a service for deploying web apps. App.
Yeah, and A doesn't necessarily allow for the feature testing I was talking about because they said they're going to need to test new sites.
Yep.
All right, so let's give it a whirly.
Yes.
Not much debate on that.
So Elastic Beanstalk for deploying web apps. Cool.
Yes. For deploying web apps. I think that's pretty decent for today.
Nice.
I'm really hoping that OSI model could be done, but not today, man. Not today.
Is that light?
Yeah, NEPA brought light not too long ago. PHC brought light not too long ago. Right. since how many years ago that they changed their name, but we still call them NEPA because they've not changed their bad character.
My brother.
So, man. Well, so we'll end the live streaming now and we'll call it a day. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here.
Anytime.
Great. Yes. All right, now have a wonderful, wonderful day ahead
Bless
and
up,
rest of it
guys.
for those that have started that day. All right, now take care. Bye, Victor. Bye, Ika. Bye, David.
Bye bye.
Bye. Yeah.